Should I do my own taxes? Or I did my own tax return because it was just so simple. I didn't think I needed an accountant. Those are the comments that I will hear from clients who, for one reason or another, thought their tax returns were simple enough to complete in the past, but maybe now they feel their circumstances have changed and they need an accountant. But at what point is simple simple? And so that's the topic of today's video. When should I hire an accountant to complete my return? And when should I feel confident that I can do it on my own? I hear this so often, and the question is, what's simple? People think preparing a tax return is just simply about putting some numbers in, and it may very well be. You maybe just have a T4 slip and think all I need is to use TurboTax or UFile and just get this return filed. And it may be the case. But I'm here to tell you that there is more than just reporting the information on a T4 return that gets reported when you file your taxes each year. Now, you might think it's self-serving for me to tell you that you need an accountant to prepare your return. I'm here to tell you that you're not just reporting information about your income. There is also provincial tax credits that are available. There are GST rebates. There are social programs that rely on the information supplied on that tax return. And so it may not be as simple as it first appears. You might have some investment income. But I come back to even the individual who has just a T4 slip. They just have employment income. Well, they may have employment expenses that could be claimed. They may not even be aware of that. They may have a GST rebate that can be claimed. Again, they may not be aware of that either. So I'm really reluctant to say to somebody, no, you don't need an accountant. No, you don't need somebody who's trained as a professional accountant to do your tax return, because there can be more involved than just simply filling in some boxes on a software package. So we've talked about a T4, and that may not be as simple as it first appears, but you may have some investment income. You may have some T3 or T5 slips along with that T4. You may have a foreign reporting obligation. That's a separate return that gets filed in the event that you have investments over a certain threshold. So those are the types of things that can be missed by taxpayers when they think their tax returns are too simple to warrant having an accountant prepare their return. But it isn't that simple. There can be penalties if filings are missed. There can be deductions missed that would otherwise reduce the amount of income tax that you may need to pay. Now, perhaps you're worried about the fees. Well, one issue can, in some instances, be more than the fees involved in preparing your tax return. Identifying an area that you may not otherwise be aware of could well exceed the cost of preparing that return. Now, a CPA isn't going to promise that, but you will have the expertise that they bring to your return to look for things that you might not otherwise look for or know to look for. And depending on the circumstances, the fees may be deductible against your income. So at the end of the day, simple is in the eye of the beholder. I'm not sure there is such a thing as a simple tax return. There are tools that can be used to reduce the risk of missing deductions, missing credits. I've mentioned two, TurboTax, UFile. There are other products on the market that will guide you through. And in those situations where you just have one T4 slip to fill in, that may be sufficient. But it wouldn't hurt at least to ask an accountant, is there anything else to be considered here, just to make sure that something hasn't been overlooked inadvertently, or that there isn't an issue out there that you may not be aware of. A couple of other examples come to mind. Students who have no T4 and think, well, there's nothing for me to report. I didn't make any money, so therefore I don't have to file a tax return. Well, you might have tuition credits, and those tuition credits could be transferred to a parent or they could be carried forward to a future year to be claimed once that student starts to earn income. That would be another example. Or there's an individual who has a T4 but then started a side hustle during the year and thinks to themselves, well, you know what, I probably didn't make enough to have to worry about it, so therefore I'll just do my taxes on my own. There may be deductions there that can be claimed, and those, if there's losses, those losses could be carried forward for future years in the event that that side hustle continues to be profitable. Again, it's not a simple situation. So those are a couple of examples of where people think to themselves, well, I can handle this on my own. I can just use a simple tax prep program and make sure that I capture all my expenses, when in actual fact, that's not the case. By the way, in the event that you've prepared your taxes in the past and it comes to your attention, whether it's from today's presentation or elsewhere, that you've missed something, you can file a T1 adjustment to go back and carry that correction back to the year that it was applicable to, 10 years back, as far as 10 years back. So if you've missed something and you want to go back and amend a return, that can be done as well. That's another reason that you may want to consider using an accountant to look at your scenario, both present and in the past, not to mention into the future. All right, that's my take on whether or not you should have your tax return prepared by an accountant or not. I leave it with you to make up the decision based on this.